What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, two-time heavyweight world champion, British superstar boxer, Tyson the Gypsy King Fury. Well, he takes to social media and he says that he is since feeling like he's going to move on from the showdown against fellow countrymen, two-time unified heavyweight world champion, British superstar boxer, Anthony Joshua. He says he has no confidence that that fight is going to come to fruition anymore. And he is since turning his focus to rival Olympic bronze medalist, former WBC reigning heavyweight world champion, American superstar boxer, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. And he's saying he wants to get Deontay Wilder up out of there within 3 rounds in his trilogy match. He says that he should have took the trilogy match already, because now he's been inactive for far too long. And now he says that he needs the sport of boxing physically and mentally to keep him on the right path. Tyson Fury, he posted a video earlier of himself with a bottle of entertainment, is what I would say, okay? And he says that, he has now stopped training altogether. He says he sent home his team. He sparred 2 days ago, but he says now he's no longer going to continue training. He says he completely sent home his team. He says Sugar Hill, his trainer, his lead trainer, he said he actually left back in December, right? So he says that, Sugar Hill has long been gone and went back home. He says his cousin, Andy Lee, who is a former world champion, a former superstar in the boxing game, he says he went home now and he himself is no longer going to train and prepare himself for a fight with Anthony Joshua that's not going to come to fruition. He says there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's holding up the fight, and the negotiations with Anthony Joshua, his promoter, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, have not gone well. They have not gone smoothly, and Tyson Fury is not happy with his 2 co-promoters that equal 1 promotion for him, which is Queensberry Promotions CEO and promoter in the UK, and the co-promoter in the UK for Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, and legendary top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum, who promotes him here in the States. But they work together to promote these fights. And you can see the frustration is just boiling over with everybody involved. They've been saying they're going to announce this fight for the better part of 3 months. Not to mention Tyson Fury, he announced June 10th of 2020 that he and Anthony Joshua, they came to an agreement to have a 2-fight deal in 2021, and yet we're getting them going back and forth still with negotiations. That was June 10th of 2020. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's 10 months ago when he first announced that he and Anthony Joshua came to an agreement for a 2-fight deal to take place in 2021. We know since then, Deontay Wilder, he has been searching for his trilogy match that Tyson Fury is contractually bound to giving Deontay Wilder the trilogy match. They went to mediation, now they're in arbitration, and due to the fact that's taking place, that's a big piece to the reason why it's holding up the announcement between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. And according to Tyson Fury, they can't find a location, they can't come to an agreement on a date, and they can't come to an agreement on a venue, nor can they find a venue to host such a big event. Now we know things are starting to open back up here in the States, and they're stating that it's by May, all venues could be opened up back to at least 75% capacity. So we know Texas, they're open 100% now. So with that said, there was also talk that it's a possibility and reports that it's a possibility the fight could take place in Texas where they can have a full capacity. Well, that don't make sense because they're both from the UK. This is the biggest fight in UK history. Undisputed match. 2 United Kingdom heavyweight superstars. And it's not going to take place in the UK. Anthony Joshua, in his negotiations with Deontay Wilder, he stated that he could not agree to face Deontay Wilder here in the States because he's worked so hard to build his profile and to build his brand and to he owed it to the fans that supported him in the UK to give them undisputed on UK soil. So he refused to fight Deontay Wilder in the United States. He refused to take the $50 million that Deontay Wilder was offering because he said part of accepting the $50 million is that the fight would have to take place in the States. Well, now you have Anthony Joshua also stating that if he was going to fight for undisputed in the UK, well, it would make sense to fight Tyson Fury. Well, if he was going to fight outside the UK, it would make sense for it to be Deontay Wilder. This is prior to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury's rematch that took place, which saw Tyson Fury get a 7th round stoppage victory and pick up the WBC strap. But there's an asterisk by it, and there's a lot going on surrounding that fight, and everybody wants to see the trilogy match. Well, Deontay Wilder is contractually bound to the trilogy match with Tyson Fury, or dare I say Tyson Fury is contractually bound to face Deontay Wilder in the trilogy match. So with that said, Tyson Fury and his team, they saw the opportunity to face Anthony Joshua for big money, but they also stated that a trilogy with Deontay Wilder would be big money, and they didn't want to have a fight with Deontay Wilder without any fans being in attendance because they broke the live gate in Las Vegas for their rematch, and they don't want to leave that much money on the table. So that was the initial reason why they didn't get a deal done, or they didn't get to agree to a fight and a date and a location, because they didn't want to push forward without fans being in attendance. Then they stated that October 15th, Deontay Wilder, he missed the deadline to inform them that he wanted the trilogy match. Well, we know that's not true because prior to them even announcing that he missed the deadline, they stated that, you know, they were looking for venues and everybody was on the same accord that they didn't want to stage this fight without fans in attendance. So how could he miss the deadline when you guys were working towards trying to find the proper location and venue to stage this fight without losing the revenue? So that means that that wasn't true. So now Tyson Fury and his team also announced that December 5th they was going to have a fight. Well, that wasn't true either, because you see Tyson Fury is still inactive. And Tyson Fury is not a happy camper. And we saw legendary promoter Bob Arum, the frustration is boiling over with him. As Bob Arum, he took to social media and did an interview, and he says, you know, he shunned off the fans. He said, you know, never mind the fans, right? He pushed the fans to the side, essentially. And, you know, he's saying that everybody's frustrated in this in the entire equation, but everybody needs to deal with the cards that's dealt. And more than likely, it's Deontay Wilder's holding up this fight because he's going to arbitration now. And due to the fact that he's in arbitration, that Tyson Fury's contractually bound, obligated to fight Deontay Wilder in a trilogy match. So that's the reason Tyson Fury is now stating that he should have just initially took the fight with Deontay Wilder, letting us all know that he was trying to maneuver around it. That's an admission. And he stated that, you know, he should have took the fight because now by the time, if he did fight Anthony Joshua in June, he says that he would have been out the ring for over a year and months. And that's far too long to stay inactive. So he's stating that, you know, he essentially is turning his attention and back to Deontay Wilder. You heard Eddie Hearn, he says that was, you know, deflating to hear Tyson Fury says that he's going to focus on fighting Deontay Wilder, and don't be surprised to see him fight Deontay Wilder in the trilogy because there's a lot going on behind the scenes regarding all parties involved. And that Deontay Wilder is having a strong case for himself, having a contract that Tyson Fury is contractually bound to, giving him the opportunity to fight again for his world title that he lost. He's only had one loss, that's to Tyson Fury, and he had a contract to have an immediate rematch. And Tyson Fury is trying to maneuver around it to fight Anthony Joshua. There's also speculations that Tyson Fury could be stripped of the title if he did indeed push forward with the Anthony Joshua fight and not contractually agree to his obligations to Deontay Wilder, that he could be stripped of the title. And Anthony Joshua is not interested in fighting Tyson Fury if Tyson Fury doesn't have the belt, because, well, then it makes no sense because it's not for undisputed anymore. It's still a big fight, but then Tyson Fury is not a world champion. Tyson Fury, he has won world titles from Vladimir Klitschko. He's won the world title from Deontay Wilder. He's yet to defend any title he's ever won in his entire career. And so now Tyson Fury, he's essentially letting it be known that he could definitely go be fighting Deontay Wilder in a trilogy match, okay? You don't hear much from Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder understands, legally he's in his rights to, push forward with this trilogy match. And Tyson Fury, now he's saying that he's going to dominate Deontay Wilder within 3 rounds or under this go round. He says the first time he boxed because that was his natural style, but seeing as though he didn't get the nod, the second fight, he made an adjustment. He decided to pressure Deontay Wilder. He got the stoppage. He said this fight is going to be even easier than the second fight, and now he's going to knock out Deontay Wilder in 3 rounds or under, especially seeing as though Deontay Wilder, after the victory for Tyson Fury, he stated that I personally would have just, congratulated him and, shook his hand. He says, but Deontay Wilder decided to make up excuses because he knew he has to fight me in a trilogy match. And he says that he has to build up his confidence one way or the other. So now he's saying that, he believes that the fight between Deontay Wilder is closer to coming to fruition than the fight between him and Anthony Joshua. And like I said, it's been 10 months since he initially announced that they agreed to a 2-fight deal for 2021. If they agreed to a 2-fight deal in 2021 back in June 10th, then there shouldn't be much negotiating that have to be done this far into negotiations. And Tyson Fury, he's stating that, he and Anthony Joshua are no closer to a deal than he was before the rematch with Deontay Wilder. And he's also stating that, he is the horse. So he says, you hearing this from the horse's mouth. Never mind the secondhand information that you're getting. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. I don't have a contract. I don't have a venue. I don't have a date. I'm no closer to this fight with Anthony Joshua than I was prior to the Deontay Wilder rematch. So he says you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. He says, I'm hearing that people saying that everything's done. They're just waiting for my portion of the contract to be signed. He says that's not true. We heard Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn says that Anthony Joshua and their side has signed everything. They was just waiting for Tyson Fury and his team. We heard Bob Arum. He said a week and a half ago that in less than 48 hours they was going to have an announcement. All contracts will be signed and sent over. That they agreed with the contracts. Everybody had contracts. Well, it's still, with 2 weeks later, we're going on 2 weeks later since Bob Arum made that announcement. And we have no announcement. All we have actually is them taking steps back. And Tyson Fury is saying now he's going to turn his attention to Deontay Wilder in a trilogy match. He's contractually bound to that trilogy match. And this time around, he's going to be a lot of pressure on Tyson Fury going into this Deontay Wilder trilogy match due to everything surrounding the rematch. So now it's going to be viewed, everything he does with the gloves, with the water, everything's going to be viewed with a magnifying glass. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But make sure y'all hit that like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.